Hey, and welcome everyone to Roo Hammer's weekly NRL round review. This week we take a quick look at the results from round 26. Before we get started, I do want to invite you all to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to show your support for the content we create. Subscribing to the channel will put you in the draw to win some exclusive Roo Hammer merch. So click that subscribe button right now. Rob, round 26, mate, the second last round of the regular season. Some important results in terms of the NRL ladder. Let's take a look, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get straight into it. Round 26 kicked off on Thursday night with the Panthers hosting the Eels at Bluebet Stadium. Good old Uncle Ivan taking the opportunity to rest both Dylan Walker and Sunia Taruva. With young gun Jesse McLean, made his NRL debut at fullback. And the Parramatta Eels looking to finish 2023 season with a huge scalp. And that they did. With the season all but over, the Eels dominated the Panthers with a 32-18 triumph. Eels 32. Only two try scorers, but Sivo with 4, Gutho with the double, and Gutherson 4 from 7. The Panthers 18. Peachy, Cleary, Martin, and Jenkins tries. Cleary, a rare off night with the boot, only kicking 1 from 4. And the Eels winger, Maker Sivo, scored 4 tries as the Panthers suffered a blow to their premiership campaign. After 5'8", Jerome Luai, he suffered a serious shoulder injury. Panthers now need to beat the Cowboys next week and rely on the Broncos losing to Canberra or Melbourne. Well, obviously they didn't lose to Canberra for a third minor premiership in 4 years. A highly unlikely scenario. Luai watched the final 53 minutes from the bench after reportedly he dislocated his left shoulder trying to ground the ball for a try. And Parramatta captain Clint Gutherson also failed to finish the match, but he inspired his team to a 4th defeat of Penrith in their last 6 clashes for hobbling off in the 65th minute. The Eels, though, they stopped the Panthers from becoming the first team to win 9 consecutive matches for 4 seasons in a row. The Eels played a style that troubled the Panthers, and they may just have given teams a blueprint on how to defeat a team that looked relatively unbeatable. So cheers, Para.
Yeah, mate, it's never good seeing players get injured, but gee, Jerome Luai, he's a hard guy. He's a hard guy to feel sorry for, isn't he?
Sure
Panthers lost to the Eels, mate, has really opened up the competition now. Real world possibility with the results in the final round playing out as expected. Our Warriors will face off against Penrith at Penrith in week 1 of the finals if everything goes the way they're going. We've all been thinking it was going to be a Broncos Warriors game at Suncorp, but very could well be at Penrith now. So
changes quickly.
It does. Speaking of our Warriors, mate, they played the first of the 2 Friday night games at home at Go Media Mount Smart Stadium, the Warriors' final regular season home game, looking to continue their streak. And although it wasn't a convincing win, the Warriors did enough to get the result over the Dragons, 18-6. For the Warriors, they're 18 points. Pompey, Nickel Kluxter, Fanua Blake tries. Pompey 3 from 4 goals. For the Dragons, it was a Lomax try and a Lomax goal for their 6 points. The Warriors, they celebrated 2 milestone games. Captain Tohu Harris, he played his 100th game, club game, and Sean Johnson played his 250th NRL game. And the club extended their winning streak to 7 games and secured themselves a top 4 finish. As I said, it was a far from dominant or impressive display from the Warriors, with the Dragons putting pressure on the Warriors and making them work hard for the win. The talking points out of this game is probably the complacency that seems to have set in, highlighted by the lack of urgency on that first kickoff of the game that nearly resulted in the fastest ever NRL try to the Dragons. Little bit of complacency too with Adam Fanua Blake with his first attempt at scoring a try, and even his second attempt where he actually got the try was a bit questionable. But the big talking point probably out of the game was the injury to Luke Metcalf. To hear our thoughts on these topics and to hear the full review of the game, make sure you tune in live on Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. for our full review of the game.
Absolutely. And the second of the Friday night games was the Dolphins and the Cowboys at Suncorp Stadium, a game I was actually lucky enough to attend. The Cowboys still with the chance of making the top 8, and the Dolphins looking to finish their inaugural season positively. But it was the Cowboys. They kept their slim finals hopes alive with a 34-10 victory. Cowboys 34, Labour with a double, Felt, Drinkwater, and Talangi and Hiku tries. Drinkwater 5 from 6, the Dolphins 10, Asako with a double, and the lone conversion. And it was a return to form for the Cowboys, who remain in that 3-way battle for 8th spot with the Roosters and the Rabbits. The Cowboys grabbed the first try of the night in the 11th minute, and 4 minutes later, the Cowboys had a second when Cole Felt crossed for his 128th try of his career to close within 2 of Matt Bowen's club record of 130. And Dearden stamped his class on the contest in the 17th minute when he delivered a superb cutout pass to Murray Taulagi down the short side, and the winger found Scott Drinkwater backing up for an 18-0 lead. With Dolphins prop Josh Kerr in the sin bin for a hip drop tackle, the Cowboys took full advantage of that extra man as Drinkwater delivered a precise pass to Labert. He crossed for his second try of the night. And with the Cowboys leading 28-0 and with 17 minutes to play, Jermaine Asako grabbed his 22nd try of the year and made it another try double in the 72nd minute, setting a new record for most points scored for a new club in its maiden season. And Murray Taulagi, he had a night out with 219 run meters for the Cowboys, while Cole Felt ran for 225, and Cowboys pair Petahiku and Jordan McLean, they both played their 200th NRL games.
Yeah, congratulations to Petahiku on his 200th game. We got a soft spot for Pet. Had a bit of time at the Warriors. He has been a guest on our show. We love Pet.
Yep.
Mate, the Dolphins jerseys, they really look like the Tigers.
Yeah.
And they kind of played like the Tigers too. Jokes aside, it was a fantastic result for Jermaine Asako, 230 points for the season with the game still to play. I think he's now on 23 tries too, so he's leading the point scoring and the try scoring thing. Cole Felt karate kick on Sean O'Sullivan was a bit of an eyebrow raising incident in that game, and there was a lot of hoo-ha about it. I'm sure I've seen players penalised in the past for similar things. Not Billy though. Not Billy. I don't think Billy got penalised.
No. Never.
No. Mate, Super Saturday kicked off at Amy Park with the Storm hosting the Titans, and also Storm 37 over the Titans 16. The Storm's 37. Coates a hat-trick. Warbrick, Welsh, Eli Katoa tries. Meany 6 from 7 goals. Munster a field goal. For the Titans 16, it was Randall, Kelly and Jojo Fafita tries. Aaron Shop 1 from 2 and Weaver 1 from 1. And as I said, it was the Xavier Coates hat-trick that led the Storm to their 37-16 victory over the Titans at Amy Park that keeps them in the race to finish in the top 4. The Storm got off to a flying start when Warbrick crossed in the 5th minute, but 9 minutes later, the Titans hit back when Chris Randall burrowed over from dummy half before Coates returned serves as the teams traded tries. Titans centre Brian Kelly finished off a slick left side raid in the 26th minute, and then Cameron Munster stamped his class on the game with a line break and a perfectly timed pass for Coates to make it a double. And the Storm took an 18-10 lead into the halftime break. The Titans opened the scoring in the second half, but 3 further tries to the Storm, including Coates' third for the night, put the game out of reach, and Munster's field goal in the 77th minute was the exclamation point at the end. 2 big stories of the night out for the Storm was, 1, the injury to Jerome Hughes, which could have implications for their finals aspirations in a couple of weeks. And 2, the return of Ryan Pappenhausen, 400-plus days since his last appearance. Mate, he received a huge ovation from the Storm fans, and gee, it was good to see him back.
Yeah, it seems like an eternity since he was last on the footy field playing first grade. Always great to see one of the stars of the game work his way back from, what could have been a career-ending injury. And the second of the Super Saturday games, that saw the Roosters at home to the Tigers at Allianz Stadium. The Roosters still with that chance of a top 8 finish, and they've set up a mouth-watering contest against the Rabbitohs next week with a 32-8 demolition of the poor old Tigers. Roosters 32, Walker, Tupou, May, Suali'i and Radley tries. Suali'i 6 from 6. Tigers 8, Riley with a try, Coruscant 2 from 2. The Roosters overcame the loss of Kiwi superstar Joey Manu to keep their finals hopes alive. That's another big talking point there as well. The fate of Roosters' season will now be decided in the good old local derby with South Sydney next Friday night. But they're likely to be without Manu after he limped from the field in the 24th minute with that hamstring injury. 298 gamer prop Jared Warrior-Hargraves was sin binned, believe it or not, for a late tackle on West Tigers playmaker Api Coruscant. And an alleged headbutt on Stefano. He has been dealt a 6-match ban from the match review committee. Yes. And Roosters halfback Sam Walker made a successful return to first grade after being dropped earlier in the year, but he was also forced from the field before he ended up passing his HIA test. And Suali'i stepped up in his absence. Suali'i moved from the wing to fullback in Manu's absence and finished with 16 points from a try and 6 goals while running 204 metres. with the ball and producing 2 line breaks, 2 line break assists, and 10 tackle breaks. The loss has consigned the poor old West Tigers to consecutive wooden spoons. And whilst the Roosters need to win against South next week and Penrith to beat the Cowboys to feature in this year's final series.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago we would have thought that the Roosters were done and dusted, but they're still hanging around. Mate, as you said, another injury to a key player in the round. That matchup next week is going to be epic. No Latrell, no Joey Manu. Tedesco should be back for the Roosters, though, so going to be interesting. And Big Jared copping a huge suspension. On the cusp of playing 300 games. He's not going to do that this season. He's going to miss out on the Vegas trip next season.
He's going to miss the bender. He's going to miss the bender in Vegas.
Oh, poor old Jared. He just can't. He's just
can't help himself.
He's proving to be a bit of a liability.
Yes, a bit. Yeah.
The final Super Saturday game saw the Raiders at home at GIA Stadium against the Broncos. Raiders veteran Jared Croker playing his final home game of his career. And as well as Jack Whiten. Unfortunately for him, the Broncos ruined the party with a 29-18 victory. The Broncos 29, Cobbo a hat-trick, Staggs, Mann, Walsh tries, Staggs 2 from 6 goals and Walsh a field goal. The Raiders 18, Frawley, Kotrick and Young tries and Jamal Fogarty 3 from 4 goals. And the Broncos have now put themselves in the box seat to wrap up the minor premiership, grinding their way to a 29-18 win over the Raiders at GIA Stadium. After the scores were locked 16 all at halftime, it was Reece Walsh who ignited Brisbane's second half charge, finishing the match with a field goal, a try, and 2 try assists to put the Broncos back on top of the NRL ladder. However, in worrying scenes, Walsh hobbled from the field at full time after suffering a suspected knee injury in the final stages of the match. Meanwhile, Ricky Stewart's men took it to the Broncos, but a 63rd minute Jordan Rapana sin binning proved to be the turning point for the home side as another crucial loss puts the Green Machines finals in doubt. Finals hopes in doubt, sorry. The Broncos took full advantage of the extra man to score 2 tries in that 10-minute period to secure the victory and possibly the minor premiership. Departing Raider Jack Whiten had 13 runs for 136 metres and broke 9 tackle breaks in his last game at GIA Stadium, whilst Raiders centre Jared Croker interestingly started off the bench for the first time in his 307-game career. Mate, Tarpany's hit on Reece Walsh at the end of the game, I saw no problem with it. I actually loved it. Tarpany playing to the whistle. It was a legal tackle. It's a competitive contact sport. I don't know what everyone's whinging about. Walsh shouldn't have stopped dead and expected nothing. I think he was thinking that they'd just walk up and hug him. But, especially it had been a fiery contest for most of the night. And, mate, I'll get your thoughts on this. Ricky Stewart. He didn't disappoint with his post-match press conference. We take the piss out of Ricky every week. His conspiracy theory claims against the Raiders now, telling a cameraman to F off. Poor Ricky.
Honestly, some of the best entertainment I've had this year is just waiting to watch his press conferences after the game. This one was probably his best yet this year. Just went full tinfoil hat, conspiracy theory, as you said. Mate, that bloke just loves a whinge. Does he ever just cop a loss? I mean, I know that he got a couple of bad calls, but honestly, it's always, my blokes are faultless, never not anything to do with the 13 blokes out on the field. It's definitely the referees. Yeah, it's good entertainment, though. Like, he literally gets dragged there kicking and screaming, and you can tell he just doesn't answer the questions. Like, imagine being a journalist in there. Imagine getting him on your first gig as an internship or something.
No.
Getting him or Wayne Bennett, I don't know what's worse.
Baptism of fire, that.
Exactly. And on the Reece Walsh shit, I mean, I don't know what he was expecting. Do you think he's that much of a protected species that someone's not going to line him up? And, that must have hurt because he had his back to he wasn't expecting it, and he just got absolutely axed. So, I think that just reminded him that not everyone thinks he is the golden child.
No. Yes.
Anyway, that brings us on to Sunday footy, and that kicked off with the dead rubber game between the Bulldogs and the Seagulls at a core stadium. Both teams playing purely for pride now, although we probably shouldn't say pride when discussing Manly, because that may cause some of their players to sit out. But that is another story altogether. But the Seagulls, they had a big win, 42. Saab with a double, Sipley, Tuimolo, Veiga, Olakalatu, Cherry Evans, and Croker tries. Cherry Evans 6 from 7. And Chen Kum Tong, 1 from 1, getting his first points in first grade. And the Bulldogs 24, Waddell, Avarillo, Flanagan, and Sexy Sexton got over. Burton 4 from 4. And Eagles captain DCE fired with the support of Lachlan Croker and speedsters Tolu Kola and Jason Saab. So the 7 tries to 4 effort provided an entertaining afternoon out, as these matches often are. And the Bulldogs scored an early try in the 4th minute before the Sea Eagles scored 4 unanswered tries to get out to a commanding lead. The game became an entertaining try fest late in the second half, with both teams trading try for try. Daly Cherry Evans with his inspirational best, 145 run meters, 8 tackle breaks, 1 line break, 2 line break assists, 550 kick meters, 1 try and a try assist. And the Bulldogs, they led the competition in missed tackles with 899 in 2023, leading into the game, and they continued with another 35 in this game. The Sea Eagles are now leading the competition in 40-20 kicks, though, with 6 so far this season. And how good was that moment when DCE gave the debutant Jordan Chan Kum Tong the penalty kick from right in front?
Yeah, it was. Vossi's already given him a nickname. Great moment for GCKT. And it kind of just shows how good a captain and how good a person Cherry Evans is to do that for the young debutant. A side note, I did watch a bit of a video the other day, which was a behind the scenes of Daly Cherry Evans prior to his 300th game with his family and so forth. And it was a really good look at Cherry Evans. He comes under a lot of fire, a lot of criticism, but he is one of the nice guys of the game. And that just proved it in that moment in that game. Something that young kid will never forget. And his family were all sitting behind the goalpost where he kicked that goal. So nice little moment there in a otherwise tough season for the Sea Eagles.
Absolutely, but DCE is a nice guy until he plays us in Golden Point.
He's a nice guy then too. He just he's a nice guy that kicks a lot of field goals. The final game of round 26 saw the Knights at home once again, this time against the Sharks. 2 teams who will feature in finals footy in 2 weeks. Injuries for both teams. Nico Hines ruled out for the Sharks with a quad injury, and Jackson Hastings and Kurt Mann ruled out for the Knights with injuries as well. But the Knights, mate, they did a number on the Sharks, 32-6. For the Knights, best a double. Ponga, Young, Mazu, and Dylan Lucas tries. Ponga 3 from 3. Gagai none from 1. 1 from 3, sorry. And the Sharks, they got their 6 points came from a try to Connor Tracy and a goal to Braden Trindle. Mate, as I said, the Knights, they continued on their winning streak, extending it to, I think, 8 games now with that comprehensive win against the Sharks. On the back of 60% possession stat, the Knights dominated the Sharks in every aspect of the game, and they leapfrogged the Sharks now into 5th spot on the ladder in the process. Amazingly, they'd won 5 of their first 15 games this season, and we're down the bottom of the table, and now eight wins in a row. Look at them sitting 5th on the ladder. Kalen Ponga was at his electric best to score a try and play a part in 2 more as the Knights extended their winning streak to 8, but a sellout crowd was left silent momentarily when the star fullback was floored in a tackle by Jesse Ramian. Scans will determine the severity of an AC joint issue for Ponga in his right shoulder, but more importantly for the Knights fans, they can afford to be without him for at least next week against the Dragons, with a home final now all but locked in. Both sides were locked at 6-6 before the break, before the Knights powered ahead with 5 unanswered tries in the second half. Knights winger Dominic Young has now equalled the club record of 21 tries in a season. And Rob, mate, some crucial injuries to playmakers this round. We had Luai, Metcalf, Hughes, Manu, Walsh, now Ponga. How it affects these teams in the coming weeks will be very interesting.
Yeah, geez. Very true. Very, very true. A lot of key injuries, particularly to playmakers and halves, as you said. And we'll see how these teams can recover from that. But crucial last round coming up. The Rabbits, though, they had a much needed bye this round. So with that happening, the NRL ladder looks like this at the end of round 26. So the Broncos, they're in the box seat now, surprisingly, to secure their first minor premierships since 2000 and are now 2 points clear of the top of the ladder on 42 points. The Panthers' shock loss sees them in second on 40 points, and the Warriors are short of a top 4 finish for the first time since 2007, sitting on third on 38 points. And the Storm also are short of a top 4 spot, round out the top 4 on 36 points. The Knights' victory over the Sharks, they've leapfrogged them into 5th on 33 points, with the Sharks 6th on 32, Raiders 7th on 32, and the Rabbitohs clinging to that 8th spot on 30 points. Just outside the 8, so we got the Cowboys in 9th and the Roosters in 10th. They are both also on 30 points. And the only 2 teams outside the top 8 that have any kind of chance of playing finals footy, but both will need victories and other results to go their way if they are to make it. And the remainder of the ladder will all play their final game of the season next week. Eels, Sea Eagles, Titans, Dolphins, Bulldogs, Dragons, and Tigers. And the Tigers assured of their 2nd consecutive wooden spoon.
Yeah, congratulations, Tigers, on that wooden spoon. Yeah, don't know what it's like. Warriors have never had one, so don't know what that feeling's like. Some crucial games next weekend to finalise the landscape of the NRL finals too, mate. Broncos versus Storm on Thursday night should be a cracker. Rabbits Roosters on Friday night. We've got the Panthers Cowboys on Saturday. Sharks and Raiders on Sunday. They all have a bearing on top 8 positions. So, yeah, going to be an interesting round of footy next week. Okay, don't forget, this week's live show will be on Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. New Zealand time, where we will be reviewing the Warriors' win over the Dragons and looking forward to the round 27 game against the Dolphins at Suncorp Stadium. And please, if you are a fan of our content, make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the stuff that we do put out.
Absolutely. Other ways you can show your support is to subscribe to our Patreon program. The links will be in this video description, or head to our Redbubble store and grab yourself some exclusive Roo Hammer merchandise, like so many of you guys have been lately, and we thank you so much for your support. And we've got plenty of designs reliving past and present legends and memorable moments in club's history. So go in there, check it out. And the link to the store will also be in the description below. Well, that is it for this video, and we will see you guys all on Wednesday night. Take care, everyone.
Sure.